right, everyone. Welcome to the new docu-series. If you don't know me, I'm Hamtaro, content creator and streamer for Nouns Esports. This series will be primarily focused on Counter-Strike, currently CSGO, and in the future CS2, but we will be branching out to covering more games in the docu-series in the near future. What is Nouns DAO, and what is a DAO? Well, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization. So what is that in normal terms, or in terms for someone who might not be involved with crypto? Well, it essentially means it's a group of people voting to make decisions on certain initiatives.
So that, but Nouns is actually funded by what?
Nouns DAO.
Nouns DAO,
which is actually the sickest DAO ever.
A cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So with Nouns specifically, the initial funding is from NFTs that are sold on a daily basis. One NFT per day is bid on.
You know, despite how you feel about NFTs, but for those of you that don't know, Nouns has like a public, basically like owners of Nouns NFTs vote, like a board on like activities and like their spending, and like so they voted and like they're funding all their esports teams for like another year and shit. It's actually pretty sick. Like that part of it is cool. It's mad transparent.
These go for a fairly notable amount. The moment the floor price is well over 30 ETH. That's how the initial funding is gathered for Nouns DAO, and these proposals are members of the community proposing certain ideas to essentially be voted on and then passed and funded and brought to life. A lot of you out there might be skeptical of NFTs in crypto, but Nouns has found a way, in my opinion, to make a very, very effective system that originates with NFTs, but encompasses a lot more than just the NFT community. It's much, much more than that.
I feel like, you know, if I was blinded, this would probably be a good look, maybe. I don't know. Honestly, well, if for anyone that doesn't know, I actually had an eye disease, so I actually have a really bad left eye, and these do help.
Nouns being in the grand finals of the Cash Cup.
And I knew that beating FaZe would be super tough, but I also had a lot of.
What do we think? How am I looking, boys? 1 out of 10.
Family, this was not the first tournament where we had
They gave me the noggles, dude, in Dallas.
In a way, it just
It's like a dangling glasses.
They did. They're sunglasses, I think. I think they're supposed to be sunglasses. You know, they're real cool dudes on Nouns.
I think just operating in a transparent way where other people can kind of see what's going on behind the scenes. That is something that wasn't really present in Web 2. For example, with Nouns Esports, we host a public call every Friday in our Discord, and literally our team shows up, fans show up, players show up, coaches show up, and we just talk about the state of the team, what's happened in the last week. We go over anything that people ask, and there's just nothing really to hide. And I think that is going to just be a guiding principle with Web3 esports.
So now let's get back into our main topics here. So Nouns Esports began with Nouns Proposal 68, which sponsored our Dota team, which was formerly known as 4 Zoomers. This was followed up by Proposal 119, which provided additional funding for Nouns Esports. Nouns Esports did secure another round of funding earlier in 2023, further adding to some of the optimism and some of the capabilities of what Nouns Esports can accomplish. So what were the main goals of Nouns Esports upon formation? Have a positive impact on esports while proliferating Nouns through the lens of competitive gaming and build on the frontier of Web3 and esports, which we believe will become inextricably intertwined over the coming years. So how did Nouns Counter-Strike come to form? Semphis and the squad were playing under the Game & Gladiators banner, and eventually they'd be dropped by the org. Squirtle Squad would announce a fundraiser on Twitter And Nouns Esports came across that and decided to actually pick up the team. Semphis went ahead and paused the GoFundMe, went ahead and refunded everyone. And that was the official formation of Nouns Counter-Strike. Nouns is in a position now where the expectations continue to get higher.
I think the Nouns team is pretty damn good. I heard, like I said, that they beat Team Liquid. I've always known MarKE from FPL and being a really good FPL player. So, seems like a pretty fucking competitive lineup.
Early alt. I think they already boosted.
CJ's nasty, obviously. He was showcasing his abilities at alt mid there, or lane, I mean.
Can't do anything, man.
Come here.
Nouns did boot camp, had an IEM boot camp over in Cologne, Germany recently. We're gonna take a look at some of that footage as well and get some of Semphis and other teammates' thoughts on the situation. We did have a roster change recently. Stamina replaced by Cynic, who was our previous IGL and opper. Now he's just opping for us. Carson is the IGL, and now let's hear from the Noun squad themselves.
The experience in Germany's been good. The food, but I like it here.
And the whole experience on Germany has been all right. I mean, the only thing I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say that. Never mind. I was gonna say the food's bad, but I don't think that I should say that.
I mean, if that's your opinion, I can agree to disagree. No.
The scrims here in Cologne have been really good. Playing against a lot of top teams here in Europe compared to North America is definitely a challenge, and it's good. It's fun. Our short-term goals are obviously to perform well at CCT here after our boot camp, and long-term is to make the major in the first CS2 major.
For now, short-term goals are definitely just, at least at the boot camp, just improve every day. Whether it be something minuscule with maybe like learning a new flash or like a better flash for an angle, or just I think just taking something away from every day is definitely a short-term goal. Long-term goal, I mean, pretty much just to win everything we can. You know, that's definitely the goal. So
I think it's great to make sure everyone's hyped up when someone has a nice round or something in a match, and make sure to keep the positive energy flowing.
If someone has a good round, you know, you get a little loud. You just give them their props for sure. You know, if someone has a great mid round or something, or it's building everyone up pretty much. Yeah, I can confidently say Nouns is probably the best org I've ever been under, like hands down. Basically, they've been, like I said, if I need to live on my own, essentially I can provide for myself, which I really haven't been able to do on prior teams, at least outside of the game. Inside of the game, I mean, pretty much just, allow me to focus exactly on what we need to do like every day. I don't have to worry about other things and kind of like outside factors.
Hi, my name is MarKE and I'm a player for Nouns. Specific improvements that I will say our communication has been getting way better. Like the teamwork for sure. I mean, playing against better teams in Europe helps us like understand like I don't know, the rookie mistakes we make, and I don't know, that helps us.
So some improvements we've been making during Cologne has been trying to improve our mental, because our mental's been on the weaker side. Our comms have been pretty weak, which we've been improving a lot. And obviously our team dynamic in general, which I think we've done a very good job of in Cologne so far.
So some specific stuff we've been working on at the boot camp has been increasing our map pool. Going into this event, we wanted to get away from some of our bread and butters, Inferno and Mirage that we've typically been playing, so we've been working a lot on Ancient and Anubis. I think both of them have been going pretty well. One of the reasons that we wanted to do that here and kind of not the other maps, but focus more on these, was because in Europe you can scrim a lot more and you can really focus on the maps you want to play, whereas in North America it's a little bit harder. You have to kind of go where your opponents want to play because you don't have a lot of options. So it's a lot easier to just grind a map. So we really wanted to get our map pool better, because if we go back to NA, you know, and we have a really good Anubis Ancient, it's just gonna make it so much easier in every best of 3. So I think by the time we end up going home, we're gonna have accomplished that. So that was basically one of our goals, and we hit it.
Second question. How has the quality of scrims been at the bootcamp in Cologne? What has the experience in Germany been like?
Quality of opponents has been awesome, you know, being able to scrim, you know, Navi and FaZe and Virtus Pro, and even the academy teams are killers in terms of like mechanics. Like their aim is really good, so even if they're maybe tactically not up to the level of a team like Navi or FaZe, they can shoot back, so they can punish you in different ways. So we've actually had to adopt different styles for different types of opponents, so that was interesting. I've kind of experienced this before on Cloud9 and stuff, but you know, sometimes you got to remember that you don't come back to Europe and boot camp all the time, so it can be a little bit of a wake-up call again. So yeah, it's been pretty good, and Germany's been pretty nice, besides the humidity. But besides that, I like Germany. It's a cool place. You know, everything's pretty close and convenient, so yeah, we're in a good spot.
Any particular esports organizations or players that you look up to or draw inspiration from in your journey?
Maybe not specifically organizations, because I mean, obviously you have like some, you know, legacy ones where like, for me, you know, I played on a lot of different top NA teams besides maybe like Liquid or something, so like it would be cool to have played for all the top orgs, I guess. But besides that, I mean, there's not one specific that I was looking forward to. I think like playing for Nouns is pretty fun. It's a different type of organization with a little bit different goals and a little bit different environment, which I kind of like. It's just different. In terms of players, I mean, in 1.6, I always looked up to like Forrest, and you know, he was always like my go-to guy. You know, him and Trace. So yeah, definitely Forrest has always been like an inspiration, even though like his longevity in the game was just incredible. You know, he won his first tournament in 2004. Like, so if you think about that, that's just like, you know, that's a long time, you know. So I mean, people can make different arguments for like GOATs of different aspects, and obviously like now there's no question players like Simple and Zywo are better than him, but you know, in terms of like staying at the top for so long, I mean, you can't really say that he's not the GOAT for that, at least.
So the things I'm still looking at us improving, we still need to improve our communication a little bit better, which we are currently like dealing with. And I think our mental, like, we have improved it. It's definitely getting better and better like every single day, but our overall mental still needs work on. The organizations that I look up to the most are probably like Cloud9, because they used to be an NA, or I mean, they still are, but they had NA-based teams and players. So I've always looked up to that org, and the players I look up to are actually on that team right now, like Shiro, Axi. Like, I've just always liked the way that team plays Counter-Strike. So our short-term goals as a team is obviously doing well at the CCT event that we're about to play in, and our long-term goals are getting to the major and actually competing. Like, obviously we want to get to the major for sticker money. That's like the biggest thing, but actually doing well, like, sticker money is not the only thing we want to compete for. We obviously want to do well at the tournament, and that's what we're looking, or my personal goal is to actually do well at the major.
There's always improvements to be made on every team, you know, even if you're the best team in the world, there's always, like people always say, it's easy to get to the top, it's hard to stay there, right? So even if you're the best in the world, you know, the people that get complacent, they fall behind. So I think for us, our main issue is kind of our mental state. We need to kind of learn to be nicer to each other sometimes, and it's a work in progress. You know, it's not like anything is terrible. I don't want to make it sound like it's the worst thing in the world or something, but you know, emotions can run high, especially at boot camp. So when people are really trying to win. So I think like that's where Mind Body Esports, who we're working with, is kind of come in. They're kind of helping me, because you know, as a coach, you don't go to coaching school. So sometimes it's hard to know, are you being too hard, are you being too soft, and it's a fine line. And I'm sure it's the same with the players too, right? Like, you if you're an IGL or you're a player and you get mad or you don't get mad, maybe you don't know, maybe you feel like that's the right thing to do and you don't mean to be rude or something, you know? So I think it's just a learning process that we're trying to grow through together, and having some extra resources to help us is kind of why that's what Nouns is kind of helping us with, right? Is giving us the resources to make sure that we can address these problems and fix them instead of like imploding.
The way we encourage each other is obviously by saying like, nice try. We're just trying to, like every time we have a nice round, we're actually like basically telling each other like good job and all that. And it's just basically how we communicate with each other. We need to make sure that we're reinforcing, like when somebody has a nice round, basically that they know it's a nice round or they have a good call or anything like that.
Opportunities, salary, wellness coach, incentives.
So Nouns has definitely provided us with a lot of things. Like they give us salary, which helps, like makes it to where we can actually play the game. They provide us with any like expenses we need, like boot camps and stuff. And they just basically support us with anything like if we ask them for anything, they're up to giving it to us basically, which has been very nice.
Our short-term goals are just to improve our map pool, increase our tactics, make us a little bit more prepared overall. That's the whole point of the boot camp, right? Is we want to go back to NA a little bit more prepared than everyone else and be able to kind of just crush the teams we're supposed to beat. Because right now we can kind of qualify for any event, but not consistently. So we want to be able to beat all of the non-liquid complexities, EGs of the world easily, and then focus on them next, right? So it's like a ladder system. We don't, you know, I feel like everyone wants to be like, oh, we're gonna win a major, but you don't start there, right? So our goal is always progression. So I think that's like our short-term goal. Our long-term goal has always been, and probably still remains, to just make a major, get a Nouns sticker in the game, and that's kind of like the whole, you know, that's definitely Nouns' goal, and also the players, because majors are just the most prestigious thing. And I would love to be part of a team that wins one. So that's kind of like my goal, because, you know, I've got third at the first one, third, fourth, but, you know, I'm gonna round up to third. So yeah.
And well, being both in and outside of gaming.
So the other orbs felt a little bit more corporate. This feels a little bit more maybe natural, like a little bit. It's just a different. It's a little bit more like a community. But yeah, it's just like a different environment. It's really. They have like public calls every week. Like I've never been a part of an org that did that. They have Discord calls, Twitter calls, stuff like that, Twitter spaces. They really try to engage with the community a lot. And yeah, so it's just like, it doesn't seem like they're reliant as much on getting sponsors and stuff like that. It's more about just like kind of the Nouns branding.
If anyone's looking up to us, and you're trying to go compete in CS and trying to go pro, I would say stick with your dreams. Like even for me personally, like my family has been supportive of me, but you know, I'm at that age where it's like, I hadn't been doing much like recently, and I hadn't been making that much money, and you just have to, if you know you have it and it's your dream, just continue to go with it, because eventually if you want it badly, you will make it. And that's what I think everyone should like know. If you really want it, you'll get it.
We've just been kind of trying to go more in a more consistent way of being able to address problems, because if you play a more loose style, there's nothing wrong with that, but your players have to always be able to perform. As soon as they drop off, then it becomes a lot harder, and that's where the preparation and the strategies can kind of save you when you're having an off day or something. So that was like more of the direction we were trying to go. The advice I'd give people that look up to the players on our team, or are trying to be aspiring pros themselves, or even join Nouns, is just focus on yourself and make sure you're doing all the right things. You know, don't expect things to happen overnight. You know, just schedule your time efficiently, because I feel like some people, they just spam pugs, or they'll just spam queue. They'll just maybe DM 12 hours a day. Try to allot different times for different amounts of practice. So maybe if your aim, like try to be honest with yourself as well. So if your mechanics are really good, you probably don't need to keep making them better. So don't just keep hitting DM. Maybe watch more demos, maybe try to increase the brain. Whereas if you're a smart player and you're always grinding demos, reverse it, right? Maybe spend an hour death matching every day. if you're one of those people that you have godlike aim and DM, but you just somehow don't seem to do well in matches, it could be a pressure type of issue, which you have to address. But if it's not a pressure thing and you don't feel like that, maybe you want to play more scrims and pugs because you need more of the realistic jiggle peaks and nades that are coming in, because deathmatch is just deathmatch, right? So you try to figure out where your weakness is and just focus on that. And I feel like too many people just hammer their strength. And it can be the same thing just in fitness, and I think bodybuilding has kind of taught me that too, is just, you know, you can be really, really, really strong, but your muscle might not look like it. And I think Counter-Strike is kind of the same thing. You can have really, really good aim, but your stats might not reflect that. So try to figure out why that's happening. And I can't answer that for you without you know, me coaching you directly. If I watch you, I could probably tell you, but you know, like, if you're a new player, you have to figure those things out, and it can be difficult, but the best players are usually the ones that are efficiently using their time. Like Automatic is a really good example of someone that, let me exclude naturally talented people. Naturally talented people can do whatever they want, and it's gonna work out. And everyone's seen that, you know, the guy that can eat whatever he wants and doesn't get fat. You know, the guy that doesn't, you know, he goes out drinking on the weekend and he owns in soccer the next day. Everyone knows there's the anomalies. If you're asking me how to get better, you're not the anomaly, because the anomaly isn't asking those questions. He's just good. So try to figure out where your weaknesses are and then figure out how to improve them. And that's the best and easiest way to get good. We don't want to go in there and just feel like, oh, it was a waste of time. We want to make sure that the boot camp and the practice at the LAN is being utilized for when we get home to just keep improving and like hopefully make a major in the future. So there's a bunch of different ways to connect. The easiest way is probably just to join the Nouns Discord and just, you know, follow along.